Hi, welcome to HowtoDandD. My name is Fred Wheeler and today I want to talk about Dungeons & Dragons. Well, I'm always talking about Dungeons & Dragons, and if I'm not talking about Dungeons & Dragons, the chances are I'm talking about Dungeons & Dragons 5e, and as it happens, we're going to talk about half-elves. No, we're not. We're going to talk about elves. We're talking about the Dungeons & Dragons 5e Elf Trance Updated. I've done a video on this topic before, and I have returned to this topic as a result of just stupidity. I feel sometimes I do things that are completely silly, and this is certainly one of them, I think. There has been a rule change by the Dungeons & Dragons design team. The Elf Trance, which has always caused arguments and confusion amongst players and dungeon masters, has been altered. So if you turn to page 23, if we're going to go to 200, I don't know what's on page 200, but it's not the Elf Trance. On page 23 of the Player's Handbook, not necessarily your Player's Handbook, because yours might be out of date and there might have been some changes, right? So that might not necessarily work for you. I'm going to read out the section to you. Elves don't need to sleep. Instead, they meditate deeply, remaining semi-conscious for 4 hours a day. A common word for such meditation is trance. While meditating, you can dream after a fashion. Such dreams are actually mental exercises that have become reflexive through years of practice. After resting in this way, you gain the benefit that a human does from 8 hours of sleep. Wow. Okay, now I know what you're thinking, Fred, that's the same wording that the Elf Trance had when it was first released. And if you're reading that out, how can there be an update or a change in something that sounds absolutely identical to what I already had? Why did you need to do this video in the first place? Well, as it happens, the change isn't so much to the, let me say, hasn't changed the Elf Trance. Instead, what they did is they made changes to the long rest, which of course has always been the issue with the Elf Trance. The long rest has always been the one that sort of really messed things up for everybody and made things so complicated. So when you start looking at this and start thinking, okay, he's made a video about something that means what? So the Elf Trance does complete the rest in 4 hours, not 8 hours. So that means the Elf Trance can complete that long rest in 4 hours, not 8 hours. And this is a direct change, as a result of a direct change to the long rest. In the past, the wording did not state that you needed to have 6 hours of sleep and the other 2 hours could be less strenuous. So something like sentry duty or eating or light walking or stuff like that, reading, stuff like that, would be considered all right during the long rest and it wouldn't break it. But that's the change. It's just that simple phrasing of 6 hours of sleep required during your long rest, and the other 2 hours can be less strenuous of some nature. That means that if you do something strenuous, that sort of messes up your long rest. Hence, it means that the Elf Trance can actually complete a long rest in 4 hours. Now, I'm going to make it really clear to people who might get upset by this development that you do not have to use the new rules interpretation that the Wizards of the Coast team has developed. If you are using the old long rest rules and you haven't updated your rules for the long rest, then the Elf Trance and the changes to that don't change. But if you're using the new updated rules for the long rest, then the Elf Trance does change, and this video would apply to you. Now, I will make it really, really clear. There are lots of people, lots of groups, lots of dungeon masters who are not using this updated Elf Trance rule. So don't go jumping on your dungeon master or other players and saying you had it wrong, because there are lots of people using the older version and there are lots of people using the newer version or newer interpretation of the rules. Now, I would really like to know down in the comments, just let me know if you are using the old interpretation of the long rest or the new interpretation of the long rest, and if so, have you updated your use of the ELF Trance? Because if you are, it would have some sort of effect. Now, if you want to support my channel, watching more of my videos, watching this one was really good. Great, thank you very much. Watch more of my videos. I have hundreds for players and Dungeon Masters. You are welcome to go and check them out. And if you like this sort of thing, then please like it, share it, subscribe, hit the bell button. And if you want to support my channel, you can also use those affiliate links down in the description to Amazon and the book depository. I don't do Patreon. I just don't see the point. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s.